الشط كم مقدورة
احنا نازحين جينا من المشروع الجبالية على الخيم هنا في رفح. الخيم نار رغم انه الحصار ولاد والجو شوب والبحر خطير، وجينا نسبحين رغم الإعاقة تاعتنا يعني نرفع عن نفسنا.
الوضع اللي انت شايفه نرفع عن حالنا، وغيرك انه الجو شوب وتمشي على الرمل سخن، يلا متحملين حالنا في الجو هذا. زي ما انت شايف هاي اطفالنا وهاي البنت شوبانين وقارفين حالنا، بدنا نرفع عن حالنا برغم اعاقتنا، بس بدنا الحياه وداحله ندحل حالنا، يعني مش حندفن حالنا في الرمل ولا حاجه، بدنا نعيش. ايش بدنا نسوي؟ احنا اليوم جايين هنا على البحر جايين هنا نستبرد من درجات الحرارة اللي نازلة على الخيم. إنه الخيم اليوم بتقعد في خيمتك درجة الحرارة فوق ال50، تقدرش تتحمل، لا هي فقاسة ولا هي مع مزرعة دجاج. جينا هنا على البحر عشان نستبرد. انت جاي على البحر هنا، انت جاي دقيقة موت ودقيقة بدك تعيش. هنا الزوارق كلها بتطلع لك من البحر، تضرب عليك قذايف، تضرب عليك رصاص، بيجي طيران بضرب هان. انت جاي هان عارف حالك انه انت جاي تستبرد، وفي نفس الوقت انه انت حتموت في المنطقة هذه. انت ونصيبك. تيجي هان يا بتسبح وبتروح ساخ سلام، يا بتسبح وبتندفن مكانك.
Creo que la educación y la universidad tiene que ser parte de la solución de la crisis que atraviesa nuestro país y no parte del problema. Realmente no entendemos estas políticas de Estado que consideran la universidad pública como un lugar donde se adoctrina y es un lugar donde se forma. En nuestra universidad no hay castas, hay claustros, los 4 claustros del cogobierno que gobiernan la universidad. Y en nuestra universidad no hay adoctrinamiento, hay formación.
La situación que atravesamos es realmente grave. No es un reclamo corporativo de las universidades ni es un capricho. Hay un problema del orden práctico que si no hay una actualización razonable del presupuesto de gasto de funcionamiento, es imposible poder pensar todo el año con actividades normales. Nosotros estamos a marzo del 2024 con presupuesto de valores de septiembre del 2022.
I'm staunchly pro-Palestine. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew. And for me and for the many other anti-Zionist Jews, it's felt really important for us to step up and be very visible, especially when a lot of news organizations are sort of portraying this as a like Jewish students are scared versus like angry protesters. And it's like, out of the 108 protesters that got arrested from the original camp, over 15 of them were Jewish students, and like I think that's been frustrating to feel like we are speaking up, but we're not being sort of talked about in a lot of mass media, especially because a lot of Zionist Jews like to represent anti-Zionist Jews as like a fringe group, as a sort of like a radical, like very small percentage, which is not true, especially for younger generations. And that's been very frustrating that not only are we facing repression from the university and from police, but that we also don't have safety in Jewish spaces, that places like Campus Hillel or like JTS, like the Jewish Theological Seminary, that students and admin there are very, very hostile to anti-Zionist Jewish students. So it's felt really unsupportive from every side.
I'm 100%, I will proudly say with my chest, I am pro-Palestinian. What is going on is just so, it's just wrong. And Columbia's active involvement in it, and its unapologetic nature of going about supporting it, arresting students, it's just not, it's not the vibe.
I lived in Palestine for some time. I lived in Israel for some time. I wouldn't identify as either, or I'd identify as both.
I think it feels frustrating that the administration keeps sort of spouting these empty words about how the campus is in crisis and how there's all this division, and then time and time again keeps taking these steps that increase the division and make the campus feel more tense and more stressful. I know for a fact people would probably feel a lot calmer if everything in campus wasn't fenced off and if we didn't have hundreds of NYPD and riot gear here. It's very frustrating to feel like they don't have a plan for what they're doing. They're just kind of trying to do anything possible to tamp down student peaceful protests, but it just keeps making everything more tense.
I have a few of my classes at Barnard, and Barnard's a lot more calm. So I've been going to class if it's at Barnard, but on campus I have not been going. Just the tensions are it's too much to even go to class. But yeah, it's just really stressful all the time.
I think they brought in the police too soon. I'm definitely concerned about graduation. As you know, the protesters are occupying the lawn, so hopefully they could work something out before the graduation. Because, I think people earn this graduation.
My problem is more with the administration. I think we see that the students are obviously, or not completely, but the referendum that we just voted on, more than half of the students voted in favor of it. We just saw teachers and professors walking out. It seems like the only problem is admin, and this isn't the school I applied to.
Even if administration is not dedicated to student freedom, if they're not passionate about the idea of a university as a university, that at least the faculty are on student sides, that no matter how professors feel about Israel or Palestine, that they're on student sides and that they don't support the repression students are facing. So that's felt sort of comforting.
They definitely have the right to peaceful protest, but in terms of like taking away other people's right to graduate or have other campus activities, that's more complicated.
ايش دعما يعني
There's a report that should have been shared with you. The embargo will be lifted at 12 noon today. This conference, I remind you, this is under embargo. I take your point, Christian. Maybe you want.
Yeah, the situation in Gaza is extremely worrying. We all know that we are getting closer by the day to a famine situation. Malnutrition among children is spreading. Okay, we estimate 30% of children below age of 2 is now acutely malnourished or wasted. And 70% of the population in the north is facing catastrophic hunger. There is reasonable evidence that all three famine thresholds, food insecurity, malnutrition, and mortality, will be passed in the next 6 weeks. The conflict makes it so difficult and at times impossible to reach affected people that as humanitarian we usually don't, for humanitarian principles, to abide to those principles, we don't call for ceasefire. On these two contexts, we have no other choice than asking for a ceasefire. This is the only way for us as humanitarian, as World Food Programme, to access these people that are in acute needs. We need that to scale up massively there our assistance. It can be done, but under the prevailing conditions, I'm afraid the situation will further deteriorate.
هتلاقي الواد ده مديس له الفلويد انا اعطيته الفلويد عشان بس
We are in a situation where the IPC, the famous IPC5, well, that means, and Dominique mentioned that people cannot meet even their most basic food needs. They have exhausted all coping strategies, like eating animal fodder, begging, selling off their belongings to buy food. They are most of the time destitute, and clearly some of them are dying of hunger.
Bon, moi, je ne dis comme si à bon totale sécurité dans le pays, mais je pense quand même. Regardez là, mais on parlait, puis là, nous ne pouvons pas traverser. Je pense quand même si on s'est là installé, mais je connais qui s'est venu là pour mettre un minimum là pour mon cap. Kava qui a occupation, là, même là, nous avons besoin de descendre plus bas là, nous ne pouvons pas descendre.
suis capable de défendre le quartier général côté la d'Haïti, je défends palais, côté de toutes les grosses âmes qui gagnent, côté de paquet d'unités palais, caserne de Salines, pour me besoin de bon pénitencier, je ne peux pas arriver là, ça grave. Et ça fait mal en pile, et puis ça indigne tout, en tant qu'haïtien, en tant que monde, en tant qu'humain, ça indigne. Puisque je ne peux pas arriver là devant le quartier général pour me besoin de bagage devant pénitencier, je vais regarder la police pour monter, descendre, côté de bagage là, je ne peux pas arriver là. Et puis moi-même, je suis subi, je ne peux pas arriver au pénitencier. C'est ça grave.
Oui. Alors,
Mon cher conseil présidentiel là, l'État a mené, mais il faut que la communauté internationale accepter. Parce que des fois, les gens qui gouvernent, ce n'est pas volonté ou pas gagner. C'est la communauté internationale là même qui piège.
This is actually a frequent phenomenon that we can observe in the Mediterranean, basically in spring, but also can be observed in autumn. It is systematic, and it happens basically due to the meteorological reasons, right? You have low systems that transfer all these dust loads from Africa, from the Sahara, towards Italy, Greece, and Cyprus. We have an impact on humans' health, right? So we have to be careful of our to not breathe such air, right? And we have to stay home, basically. There are guidances from the doctors that should be followed in such cases because we observe concentrations that are 10 times or 20 times higher than the mean, than the average for a region. This dust acts like a nutrient for oceans, so it affects plankton and productivity, ocean productivity.
Ήταν όλα πορτοκαλί, πραγματικά φαίνονταν λες και είμαστε στη Σαχάρα. Περιμέναμε τις καμήλες να έρθουνε.
Εγώ αισθάνθηκα μια δυσφορία, προσπάθησα να το καταπολεμήσω, να ήμουν μέσα στο σπίτι, να μην είναι τόσο έντονη η δραστικότητα του φαινομένου στον οργανισμό μου.
One reason
I understand that.
One reason we choose dogs is because
Elwood's organic dog meat.
They love dogs.
Good for the planet, good for your health.
I've watched documentaries.
Labrador jerky, Yorkie steaks, Doberman burgers. Tried dog before? Dogs make great pets, but unfortunately for them, they make even tastier steaks. Delicious, good for the planet, good for your health. You ever tried dog before? Everybody's vegan in here. You interested? Free range, humanely slaughtered dog. Good for the planet, good for your health. Are you vegan? We love our dogs. This is Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. We raise and slaughter dogs humanely, local, free range. We're a family-owned farm. And yeah, we're just trying to get people to expose them to a more ethical food choice. You know, pigs, chickens, cows, they're treated poorly in most cases, but our dogs, you know, they're free range, organic, humane, local, and they get a good diet. We love them. Unfortunately, like every other animal, we slaughter them, and so yeah, these aren't pet dogs. They're specifically bred for food. Free pug jerky, 50% off. All products online. Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. You ever tried dog before?
What kind of joke is that?
It's not a joke, it's real. Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. Delicious, good for the planet. Good for the planet, good for the dogs. We love our dogs before we kill them. Doberman steak, Yorkie burgers, Doberman meatballs, Australian Shepherd burgers.
So you're here to say that things...
Yeah, we're from a group called Allied Scholars, and we have chapters in about 50.
Number one cause of death is heart disease, and it correlates with eating animal products. We have a lot of pandemics and zoonotic diseases caused by animal consumption. So many people are dying, and no one is talking about that. So I'm here to raise awareness about that. And most importantly, what happens to animals, because most people would say that they're against oppression, but it's until we sit down to eat. Then, like, everybody knows that nothing good happens in factory farms. Everyone knows animals are exploited for meat, egg, and dairy. But when we sit down and eat, we just forget about how much we want peace. So sometimes we just talk about peace and compassion and love, but we don't want to take personal action. So I'm here to say that find your compassion for dogs and cats and just apply it to any other animal. And until we are not treating animals who are weaker than us with kindness and compassion, we can't really expect to reach world peace.
This is just plant-based soy jerky, so yeah, not actually dog.
Most people get offended when they see us selling dog, and we have conversations asking why is it not okay to kill a dog, but it's okay to kill cows and pigs. And people usually say dogs feel pain, they have inner lives, they don't deserve to die. And everything that they say about dogs applies to cows and pigs. So I didn't grow up vegan, but once I found out what happened to cows, dogs, cows and pigs, I decided not to eat them. And we want to have these conversations at all our Allied Scholar chapters, which is in about 10 to 15 universities, so that we can have discussions about our conditioning, why we conditioned to eat some animals and not other animals when all animals feel pain.
Elwood's Organic Dog Meat. Eat other animals?
Everybody doing great. Keep holding. Almost done, y'all.
Also, if you have a placard, can you make it maybe?
Are we? I don't know. Are we?
All the accumulating plastic production of plastic pollution, and we need to stop doing this because it's killing us. It's killing the world. Plastic poison is killing the world. It's killing fish, humans, animals, biosystems. It's killing everything. We have to stop it. We have to have a better plan.
and they're supposed to regulate the entire life cycle of plastics, each step of which is harmful and toxic to our health. And we see a lot of pushback from industry folks in there not wanting to regulate, wanting to keep pushing plastics on us, even though people like us are here and very clearly don't want more plastic in our lives, want alternatives. And so we're here to say that we're the people that they should be negotiating for in those sessions, and just make sure that we see them, we know what's happening, and we're here to keep up the pressure.
Importantly, we need a cut in plastic production, because we can't produce as much plastic as we do now and then carry on recycling and then all the other false solutions that we have. So the most important clause, the most important provision that we need is a cut in plastic production. That's the basis for a strong and ambitious plastics treaty.
And the face masks you can keep if you like. No.
Yeah, please come on Thursday. We'll have press there. Excuse me. On Thursday, 8:45, we'll be doing the pie.
Look at this. It's all pieces of microplastic. Future.
For the past 2 days, the incredible turnout by ministers and delegations from around the world has inspired hope. And we're already making a lot of headway on landing an agreement on some common goals. In the past 48 hours, we've heard that plastic waste is the perfect byproduct of the 20th century consumer culture. Cheap, disposable, and modern, or so we thought. It has created a thrown-away generation, and we agree that there has to be a better way. The key pillars include eliminating or restricting problematic and avoidable plastic products and chemicals of concern, establishing clear targets, and developing design criteria or other targeted actions to enable reuse and recycling.
The issue is that these negotiations are seeking to end plastic pollution, including in the marine environment, which impacts all of us, including some of those countries that are responsible for producing it. And so I certainly understand that there can be some, what was the word you used? I forget, you used the word irritation or frustration. Of course I do, but I think we also need to understand that it has to be about a broad global agreement where we get that just transition is one that has to take account of everyone and everyone's economies. And in that respect, it is very interesting to observe, of course, that there's a plastic sector in every country. There are jobs associated with the plastic sector in every country. And so as we move into refill, reuse, and recycle, there are also equal job opportunities associated in every country. And that is what is so interesting.
And today is the first day that countries actually get to talk about the text that was tabled at the end of INC3. So I think I'm very hopeful, and I think obviously the negotiations here are very important, as Jyoti said, to set the stage so that when we get to South Korea, we've given the South Koreans all of the chances that they need to ensure that we can land this deal. But I'm confident that we can get there.
Have a wonderful afternoon.